Hello, everybody, and welcome to the UBE Academy Friday Chill Out. My name is Oliver, and I will be your host. Today, I have two fascinating guests. We have a triple whammy, so to say, something that we want to establish more often. And today, we have Denise and Stefan from an interesting new concept from a new company called Inspiration Journeys. Hey guys, how are you?
Hi, thanks for having us. We are fine.
Oh, thank you so much for making it possible. Question is to get this started. As you know, the format is we will talk about 30 minutes, and we have a couple of questions prepared. The first question: who are you? Could you tell us a bit about your background?
Yeah, sure. So I will start. So my background is basically international business and economics. I started off with climate change. So I used to work for the UNFCCC, as for the United Nations climate negotiations as a policy advisor. And from all my climate work, I found the way to sustainable food. And I'm a sustainability expert with a focus on future food, and I consult food businesses on how to become more sustainable, more future oriented. So they basically contact me when they want to know, okay, sustainability is such a complex topic. What does it actually mean for us, for our resources, for our value chains? And they also contact me when it comes to future trends because they want to get to know their consumers better and what are the exciting, fascinating food trends for the future. And they want some insights from me as well. So that's my background.
Okay, Denise, if I need to jump in on that one. When we talk about sustainable food, and probably you will be the person who will break the bad news to me. I'm a carnivore, unlike the rest of my family. Sustainable food and eating meat, that doesn't go together well, does it?
Well, it depends how often do you eat meat. If you eat meat 3 times a day, 7 days a week, I would consider to change that, not only for the planet, but also for your own health. But actually, meat is one of the most exciting topics when we talk about the future of food, because actually in 2030, we will eat 70 to 90% less animal protein than today because we have so many economically and health attractive alternatives like plant-based protein or even cultured meat, which comes from the laboratory.
Wow, that's exciting. Okay, that was a very kind way of breaking those news to me. So there's hope for me. Will further reduce my meat consumption. Thank you very much, Stefan. Hey, now
Hey,
you. What are
hey,
you going to
yes,
share
considering my
with me?
background, I once studied communication and culture science. I'm also a merchant. I did an apprenticeship, but in 2009 I ran into design thinking, and that pretty much changed my life. And ever since my education at the Hasso-Plattner Institute in Potsdam, I do design thinking trainings to actually provide people with a method, but I'm also doing consultancy with this. So basically, design thinking and some systemic approaches gives me a toolkit to do, yeah, pretty much strategy development, communication development in companies, small and big and international. And yeah, that's about it for my background.
Interesting. When we talk about design thinking, just out of curiosity, I often feel that you mostly find it in new digital companies, in startups, in software companies. Has this already started to trickle down to the established companies, to the big corporates, to the Thyssen and Krupps and GEs and Siemenses of this world?
Yeah, to the car manufacturers and all.
Yeah.
Yes, no, yes, seriously. It's quite visible in startups, you're right, but pretty much big corporation use it since I would say 10 or more than 10 years. They don't, they don't advertise it as something they want to put outside. It's not connected with their brand, but they actually use it for making their processes and structures more efficient to build new strategy, but also new services and products. So I work a lot for corporations also.
All right. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Nevertheless, we're not so much here to talk about your past. We're, of course, more interested in your future and how this future can help our listeners, our viewers, on their way forward to survive in a digital, COVID-19 torn environment. Now you founded something that you call Inspiration Journeys. What made you found this institution? What is it all about? Please tell us.
Yeah, so it's about, we offer diverse personal coaching formats, and it's about personal development and future skills. And I can say for my clients that I had over the last 10 years, I realized that, you know, most of the time they also hired me because they somehow needed a personal coach, regardless of their educational background or their hierarchy within the company. And communication was always the biggest challenging factor. And I also have seen a lot of unused potential, so that people did not believe too much in themselves, or that there was just not effective teamwork going on. So, and I wanted to put this topic of being more human, allowing oneself to be more human, and look what kind of soft skills do I have that I can contribute to my work or to this world. And I discovered a real need to work on that.
Yeah, and pretty much I discovered the very same when I work in organizations and in teams. When I boil it down, I also work with humans, and I can really, so every human is kind of the same when it comes to my relationship to the other team members, my relation to my organization, how fulfilling is my job, how much power and force can I put into this organization. And so behind, you know, structure, process, and methods, there's always emotional needs. And to work with those is actually the core value of actually making a team productive, making a human worthwhile, and making an organization thriving. So when we talked about this together, we thought this is a very common denominator that we both discovered in our work, and that made us found the inspiration journey. No, very nice.
Okay, but this is before we talk a bit more about future skills. My question then is, the skills that you have just mentioned, or the situation, is this really new? I mean, when I was a kid, I watched the Rocky movies with Sylvester Stallone. Isn't this the same story? Hey, you have to trust in your own abilities, and you don't treat people bad, and then the world is yours. You probably go a bit beyond that, right?
Yes, as I mean, this was for sure an inspiring movie. Long ago, we watched it.
Oh wow! Okay.
And from the 70s. Quite funny also how they made movies in the 70s, but that's another topic. So we really found that, yes, if this is nothing new. This is actually very basic and human, and it belongs to our nature, but it's highly neglected in work context. So there always is a strong focus on big buzzwords like digitization or hard skills, and still we have never lived in such a connected world, but we think that we are more and more disconnected. And we wanted to work on that because actually the world around us gets ever more complex and faster. And we wanted to have a toolbox for human beings, especially in work context, to manage this complexity.
Okay, so how improve? You said, for example, teamwork. How could you improve teamwork? What is necessary? What is lacking? Well, from your experience, what have you seen when teams don't perform, especially now in this connected/disconnected world, where we may all be connected, but at the end of the day, we can't meet each other anymore because we're now in lockdowns and quarantines and home offices. So now it's so important to develop those skills that you have just touched upon. Tell me a bit more about the necessary skills you need to be resilient, to be successful in this new world that we have just entered.
Well, let me start with communication in between teams, or in the communication from me to the outside. It's not very common that I feel safe to actually say what is it about me, is my need on like different levels, like functional level, rational level, emotional level. And there's a lot of courage coming with it to actually speak out, how am I feeling today? What can you use me for? What can you not use me for? What's behind my, hard skill expertise? What am I really good at in terms of empathic listening, for example? And those are very important layers to see the person as a holistic, being that I can use on diverse, complex situations in, for example, organizations or in life situations. And first of all, it's about this. So to have a true communication between each other and not to, fake anything or just swim along with something that you don't agree, but then something internally makes a resistance towards it. And so to be true and honest with yourself and with the others, that will be a good start.
It actually kind of requires a mind shift, because not only from the individual level, it's also from the organizational level, to provide people a better platform, because they're actually full of resources and potentials. And we really see a true win-win factor there also for the organization too, that if the individual can thrive with all his or her capacities and desires and wishes, then also the organization will finally better thrive.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Question here is, companies enabling or providing a platform for this kind of, let's say, way of working, how important is trust?
Well, I think trust is very important. I think with trust is somehow the basic of everything when we cooperate, when we work together. And to be honest, I haven't seen that much like real trust, because we always want to put on a facade, or we always need to do what is required from us within a company, and maybe be even a little bit scared of our boss, or and so trust is very important, and it needs also time to develop. So it cannot, I think this is something like also a cultural change which cannot happen from one day to the next. But we see in a lot of companies, especially startups, who trust their employees much more, who give them more free leeway to make decisions, more responsibilities, and that could be one step to go further that way.
Yeah, I think and because I'm asking because one thing I learned from design thinking is that you build, test, learn, and you need to fail. How do you do this in a company where failure is equal to mistakes, and mistakes need to be avoided at any cost?
Well, there's a paradigm shift actually when I can jump into this, because the whole design thinking procedure is now, you can validate it for 10 years. And it's pretty much shown that when you have a small, efficient and iterative process, that you're very much more cost efficient than going in a linear way. And just before the deadline, you see that you should be, 30 degrees to the left or to the right, and that you failed in a very big and cost-intensive situation, rather than trying it out and then failing in a very small scale and see where I can validate my development. I wanted to add something for the trust, because it's not the trust in organization or among each other. And one of the future skills, how we see it, is actually trusting ourselves first. So that's the core basis. When I can trust myself in terms of trust my feelings, trust my expertise, and trust the phenomena that if I can speak out something, then there will be some acknowledgement, the one way or the other. So when I can be profound in myself, then I have the more ability to actually trust myself, and then in the second step, trust others also.
I see. Okay, but then let's move on to this question, which then is, you said already, trusting yourself is a future skill. I wonder if this is a skill or a trait, but maybe you can expand on that in a minute. But let's define those future skills. I really want to know what's the future, what's the forward-looking element here, and what is just, don't be an ass, behave yourself, and trust your gut feeling. There must be more. Please tell me.
So obviously future skills, there are also a lot of hard skills like coding, but we, especially at the Inspiration Journeys, we focused on the soft skills, as I've already said, because we see that there's so much more potential to train them. And for us, we have defined for ourselves 9 future skills. For example, resilience, empathy, creativity, entrepreneurial spirit. What else?
Let's focus on those first.
Yes, that's just and
please.
so it's basically also a way of getting to know yourself better, and also of training yourself on and especially these skills.
We talked about some surrounding context already, and let me further elaborate that when we look at trends or when we look at societal or economic development right now, we see a lot more complexity coming towards the human. We see a lot more technology, artificial intelligence, and our future skills should be like a tool set to answer those, to deal with those trends even more. So in a world full of complexity, how can I orient myself? How can I stay me? Or in a world full of artificial intelligence, what's the human factor? Am I really needed? How can I be, you know, how can I be of worth or of action in a world where everything is automated and where every communication is already
predetermined.
Yeah.
Thanks for the English help. Stuff like this. So when I look from now to the future, what skills do I actually need in this world full of technology, full of complexity, and even more insecurity in terms of climate change or migration and stuff?
Or have, especially in the times we are right now, it's a kind of a health crisis, I need somehow to build up my resilience. And in the past, we saw a lot of a strong focus on all the hard skills that you have to train. And we really believe that resilience, you know, is like the immune system of the soul. And we really believe the more digitalized we become, the more human we also need to become.
Okay, so how do I learn? Now let's think about myself. I'm older than you, much older, and I'm of course overwhelmed by the new normal. I'm overwhelmed by the situation that I see outside there in companies and corporations, digitalization. What would I have to do to be equipped for the future? Do you start with a skills check, you know, where we define what is really required and what I'm lacking of, which would probably be quite a lot? Or how would you go about it? So how would you, let's say, do this if I was your customer, victim?
It seems we are already in a sort of online coaching situation here, dear Oliver.
Yeah, please.
First of all, I hear not only with you, but also in myself or in friends or older people older than us too, that there's a lot of anxiety and a lot of fear with those trends and developments. So first of all, it would be getting into one's mindset and see how can I sort of engineer my mindset in terms of how can I embrace these trends? I can't change them. So if I can't change them, it's my choice. How can I react on them? And this is the baseline. Should I react on this positively or should I react on this negatively? For both, there's a reason, but we can see maybe we can tend towards something that we should react positively. And there are some, you know, little techniques and tools how to react on something in a positive way. And then the positiveness of it frames me already that I have more trust in my actual life and my actual being. And so before we come to, you know, the real skill set, I would say, how is my mindset prepared for actually learning more skill sets that are making me future proof?
Oh, okay. That's interesting. You just the magic word, techniques, routines. Could you talk about this a bit? So what kind of techniques, routines, and methods are there that could actually help me to train myself to be more resilient, for instance?
So out of the box, I would say if we have this list of fears, then make a situation like think about a situation where you have those fears concerning a trend or a technology that scare you, and then write it down and see what's the worst that it can happen when it goes in a really negative way, and then really write down the scenario and then sit with this and deal with this and see if it's really that bad. And though also that would be one part of it. The other part could be really make it as it is. For example, this whole COVID situation, and then write down, oh, I feel bad about this COVID situation. And then on the other half of the paper, you writing it down manifests actually. That's why I say write it down. Write down the question, what is good about it? And then make a little brainstorming, because when you ask your brain what is good about it, your brain will come up with an answer. And then if you feel connected to one answer specifically, then use this one and make a positive scenario out of it. So COVID-19, what is good about it? Or maybe I can, renovate my home, or can deal with
I
something.
would like to jump in on that question, Denise. You probably, I mean, you're using, you're drinking your own medicine, I hope. What is the positive, or what could you do? What did you do? What kind of techniques did you guys apply when COVID-19, like the proverbial monster black swan, kicked us in the behind?
Yeah, so well, we first of all, we used it very proactively. So we offered workshops and retreats with the inspiration journeys, and then did like, this was for us basically the start to do everything digital and online. So it was a very huge learning curve. That was great. But we also, on the other side, we started gardening, and yeah, spent a lot of more time in nature. I mean, we are very bound to nature anyways, but now we had more time, and it was so that was one of the two biggest effects, I would say. And also, to, especially when you're not traveling the whole time or pendling towards one meeting or the next, you also have more time to think. And for us, or I can only speak for me, it was also time to listen more inside myself and ask me crucial questions like, what kind of life do I want to live? And is this how it is now, the system that I have created for myself professionally as well as privately, is this still accurate? Do I want to change something? So I think many people have also used this period to question their lifestyle and want to change it maybe for the better.
That's an interesting point, because if we just think about this, now at the moment, a lot of companies think about, okay, after we have returned to some kind of new normal, and frequent listeners of our podcast know how much I hate the word new normal. Nevertheless, when the situation is not as complex but just complicated again, we can do so much things. We can we save on office space, and what they tend to forget is that also the employees, people like you and me, we have developed. We have learned new things, we have acquired new skills, and probably we have suddenly listened to ourselves and decided, is it really necessary for me to own a Lufthansa Gold card? I spend quite some time now at home. My garden is top notch. I can win any Kew Gardens competition from now on. And this is probably something that companies really need to think of, how to integrate these new acquired skill set, the new mindset into the next work.
Yeah, and also all the companies who said earlier, no, it's not possible for our employees that they do home office, for instance, or that we do video conferencing, and suddenly they were forced to, and it worked. So it was a nice change of perspective on various levels, I find.
Actually, they were forced to trust the employees that they actually work at home. And, for example, in a call center, wherever, you can see the measures, and the numbers are really even better than as if they were in the office, because they maybe smoke less, they're less chatting with the others. So numbers are better when you should trust your employees to be productive at home. But I want to add something that's a very interesting remark you just did with concerning the leadership. So if I would be in a leadership, or in the management or C-level of a company, I would definitely go to my employees and see what holistic approach they have now after the COVID or home or short work sessions, and see if I can acknowledge this and even use this new skill set in my company, and even acknowledge and respect my employees even more than before.
Okay, now I'm getting more and more convinced every second you guys are talking. Now, precise, do you have some exercises for me to make me more future fit?
Yes. So what first of all, a very small one that I do every day, it's just my personal thing, but I can highly recommend it, is the writing practice. So I write down every morning 3 things that I'm grateful for, my intention for the day, and how I wish this day to end. And this takes really not more than 3 minutes. And it's very good also to reflect yourself and reflect your day, and also stick to your goals and to your own happiness and fulfillment. So that is quite powerful. And then we have another big exercise that we also really like to do. Shall I say it?
Yes,
Yes.
please.
So this is it's about envisioning your perfect day in 3 years from now. So the 23rd October 2023, and really imagine all the wishes you have fulfilled until then, that have come true for you. Milestones, what you have achieved. So 3 years is a pretty long time. We tend to underestimate what we can achieve in 3 years and tend to overestimate what we can achieve in 1 year. Yes.
Good point. Yeah.
And then write down really in detail. It's like it's visionary writing, but write down in detail from the moment you wake up. What do you do first? Do you have a coffee? Do you go for a run? Do you go for a walk? Then you have breakfast, and in very detail, where are you? What do you feel? What do you see? What do you smell? And pin it to the wall and read it daily. And it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. It has worked so far with us, mostly. But it's really good, to readjust also yourself. Where do I want to go to? What is the vision for my life?
Yeah, and really make it visible in your all-day surroundings, so that you can think about this, and then actually you subconsciously work towards it, because you read it every day and think, okay, maybe this should be fulfilled in 3 years, so let's start the work.
Well, that's fascinating. I understand. If you do this every day and you have this, let's say, done for 200 days in a row, you truly get an inspiration journey out of it, right? Because it exactly shows you how you have developed as a human being, and where you stand at. Okay, wow, this is really fascinating, and I know we prepared this. Now I would like your best 60 seconds. Tell us now. You have the chance to tell us everything we have missed to discuss up until now. Please fire away. The 60-second session with Denise and Stefan starting now.
Yes. So, dear listeners, if you got very curious and interested about our work, we welcome you on our online course, Resilience. We offer you a 20% discount on that. Or even if you want to have a personal coaching, just a short chat where if you have some big questions in your head, and we are happy to help you with that. And also, we would like to welcome you and listening to our podcast, which is also called Inspiration Journeys, and you find them on the usual suspects like Apple, Spotify, and Deezer.
Okay, thank you. Anything you want to add, Stefan?
Just
still have 15 seconds left.
Stay true to yourself, and be more active, and be trustworthy in the life and in the world, and then we all gain profits from that.
Yeah, believe in yourself.
Thank you so much. Guys, this was a pleasure. Really interesting. Thank you so much for coming. And I will check out your podcast. Talking of which, guys, couple of housekeeping here from my end. Yes, the UBE Academy has started its own podcast as well. You find us right next to Inspiration Journey on Apple, Google, Spotify, and all the others. So if you don't want to see me, but you want to listen to us, that's maybe a good idea. Check out the podcast. Another thing, throughout the month of October, now coming to an end, and November, we have decided to have a series on regional topics, because we think digitalization and COVID-19 resilience, we want to break it down into areas. So we will have country-specific features. We will start next week with a extremely important issue. We will talk about the upcoming US election. We will not take any sides. We don't care whether Biden or Trump. This is not our case. Our question is, how will this impact the way we European companies will do business around the world, and especially in the US, in the next 4 years coming? We will then go over to China. We will go to East Africa because there's a lot of it happening at the moment in Kenya and Ethiopia, fastest growing economies at this point of time. We will go to Russia, and then just before Christmas, I will cover Brexit, which is, of course, maybe not a good way to end the year, but we will find something. So please watch our next regional episodes. Denise and Stefan, thank you so much for coming, and stay tuned, guys. All the best. Always wear a mask, stay healthy, and have a wonderful weekend. This is the UBE Academy Friday Chill Out Lounge. My name is Oliver Scholz. Stay tuned, and bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.